So this is a family that is superficially kind of similar to Rosaceae, and I'll kind of highlight the differences between the two families. They're not closely related at all, but in the field you might get them mixed up a little bit. This is the family called Ranunculaceae. This is the buttercup family, named for the genus Ranunculus. A little bit more of a mouthful there. And these are herbaceous plants, and they have leaves that are lobed or compound, including some examples here. Wide variety of flowers. So a little bit that's consistent here is number of stamens. So lots and lots of stamens. That's what makes the flowers probably most superficially similar to Rosaceae. And then the perianth, some of them are rather well behaved, having 5 petals and 5 sepals, a little more regular flower type. And then there's a pretty wide variety of members of Ranunculaceae that are many undifferentiated perianth parts, so tepals. For example, this anemone, if you looked at the backside of this flower, you wouldn't see sepals different from what you see right here. So just undifferentiated tepals, lots of stamens, lots of separate carpels. That's pretty common. So some have a single carpel, but lots of these have many carpels, all in a superior ovary, and sometimes radial symmetry, sometimes bilateral symmetry. So a rather simple radially symmetrical flower in the middle here. And then we've got a bilaterally symmetrical flower that's got a lot more exclusion, visual exclusion, at least for pollinators. This one's called monk's hood aconitum. Aquilegia, this one's actually kind of pendant, so it hangs down and makes these available. This is a popular food for hummingbirds. So rather extravagantly modified petals with these nectar spurs on the back end. The columbine or genus Aquilegia there. So lots of separate carpels, usually a few cases where they're just a single carpel. And you can just see on this hepatica, lots of carpels, and then this ranunculus that's developing into fruitlets. Lots of separate carpels there. And lots of stamens, as I said. So lots of stamens, sometimes even in, I guess, a lot of the examples I put on this slide, many stamens, sometimes so much that you don't even notice the perianth on these. So a little bit of perianth, but lots and lots of stamens in these 3 genera that I've chosen here for you. So just if you need a table to compare our Rosaceae with Ranunculaceae, the flowers, I'd say, are what's one of the first things that might be superficially similar between these. So sometimes you get 5 petals in Ranunculaceae, and that's pretty common in Rosaceae. You don't always get 5 petals. So if you get more or fewer than 5, that might tell you you're not looking at Rosaceae. The lots of stamens is pretty universal for both of these. Notice it's A infinity for both. Similar construction of separate carpels in both cases. So just some highlights here of what you might compare. Rosaceae can be woody. If you've got a woody plant with these kinds of flowers, that would probably put you in Rosaceae. The presence of stipules can be helpful for identifying Rosaceae. If there's any fusion, those hypanthiums, hypanthia that we saw would be a nice giveaway for Rosaceae. Accessory fruits, and in Rosaceae, always radial symmetry. So Ranunculaceae, you would get the presence of bilateral symmetry could help you to tell you've got Ranunculaceae. So with some practice, you can pretty reliably tell these apart.